Hello, I am Brian Downs, and this is a Republic if you can keep it. It is August 3rd, just about 9 o'clock in the morning, coming to you from Orlando, Florida. Let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. Is the universe a simulation? I'm starting to think it has to be. Because can any reality be like this? So, of course, President Donald J. Trump, a man with a long and well-proven history of sexual misadventure, the adjudicated rapist, see the E. Jean Carroll case, see the Stormy Daniels affair, see the various side chicks who got upgraded into wives, was, it is a well-known fact, a very good friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the financier and sex trafficker who eventually died in prison. Here's an important point, and this is in no way a defense of Donald Trump, but Trump has not, in fact, been accused of any specific crime in regard to the Epstein affair. He's certainly not been charged with one. To my knowledge, no person has come forward and say, yes, I was a teenage girl and Donald Trump paid me for sex on Epstein Island or anything like that. But Donald Trump is drowning in this scandal. The fact that he once sent his very good buddy Jeffrey Epstein a saucy birthday card has dominated headlines for a while. And Trump's approval rating, which was already in free fall due to his many incompetencies, outrages, and crimes, has plowed even lower. He is losing his base. But, again, Trump, not actually accused or charged with any specific crime in this matter to date, and yet is flailing about hopelessly trying to extricate himself, flinging about every distraction he can. Of course, Trump, in his usual way, simply goes, "No, it wasn't me. Somebody else is worse than I am. What about this?" Employing the well-known disinformation tactic of whataboutism, which is designed to destroy all debate. Someone raises a point, especially in criticism of person X, myself, let's say, and I say, oh, well, what about Jack the Ripper? They never caught him. All this does is derail all conversation. But Trump is a fan of the strategy. But whataboutism is not working for him so well in the Epstein scandal. So instead, we go to Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell was Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, second best friend after Donald Trump, personal assistant, and co-conspirator in his assembly line of sexual abuse. Trump's Justice Department, which of course is a cage full of Trump's favored pets, it is not the independent institution that the Justice Department ought to be, serving justice blindly. It is rather a cage full of Trump's pets. Trump's Justice Department sends a guy out there to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. Next thing we know about Epstein. Now, a reminder, Maxwell was Epstein's co-conspirator. She was arrested, she was charged, she went to trial, she was convicted on sex trafficking and related charges. She was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. She was serving that sentence. She went to prison a few years ago. I think during the first Trump administration, or perhaps early in the Biden administration. Now, Donald Trump's DOJ sends someone to talk to her, and next thing we know, Ghislaine Maxwell is being transferred to a much nicer prison. One with, tennis courts, kind of a club-fed day camp. Oh, interesting. And of course, Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted on federal charges, so the President of the United States, regrettably Donald J. Trump, has the power to commute her sentence, to simply pardon her crimes. And remember, a pardon doesn't say this person didn't do the crimes. It just says this person will no longer be punished for the crimes. Donald Trump sent his representative to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, and now Ghislaine Maxwell is getting much nicer treatment in prison. This looks like a deal is being made. I'm curious what deal. This is my point here. What deal? You're telling me that Ghislaine Maxwell has some fantastically important information about Jeffrey Epstein that she has so far kept silent. When Epstein was arrested, she did not come forward with whatever information this is. When Epstein died in prison, she didn't come forward with this information. When she was arrested, she didn't come forward with this information. She didn't say, I want to make a deal, I have info. When she was sentenced to 20 years, she didn't say, I have information, I want to make a deal. She certainly did not say that to anyone in the Biden administration. But when her old friend, her and Epstein's old friend, Donald Trump, is back in the White House, and Donald Trump is boiling in the Epstein scandal, now we are meant to believe that Maxwell has something worth knowing. Ghislaine Maxwell is a convicted sex trafficker. What is she going to say? And had a personal relationship with Donald Trump for years. What is she going to say that we're going to believe? That anyone will believe? How could anyone possibly suppose that this woman is doing anything but telling lies to get better treatment, possibly even a presidential pardon? Donald Trump seems to think this is going to work. This is because Donald Trump is an evil man, a moral scab of a person, a lifelong fraud and criminal, who, as he descends into dementia, is ever more convinced that all he needs to do to be a successful criminal is to lie in front of the world. Whatever comes out of his mouth is the truth and will be accepted as the truth. But this strategy is falling apart. And anything that Maxwell says will be interpreted as making Donald Trump look more guilty. If she says, oh, no, Jeffrey's best friend had nothing to do with any of the trafficking. Jeffrey's best friend, well-known, I don't even know, sexual adventurer who once publicly said in an interview that Jeffrey Epstein loves beautiful women just as much as I do, and his are on the younger side. No, he had nothing to do with any of it. We're going to believe that? And then when she comes out and says that whatever list of prominent Democrats, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, James Comey, Barack Obama, were all on Epstein Island, we're not going to believe that either. We're past the point where credibility isn't part of this equation. There is none. They can say nothing that will be believed because they are a gang of liars and sex traffickers.